Hi, my name's Devon, and I'm here with my friend Katie for my listening project, and we're going to talk about some of her hardships that she's been through her short 21 years of life. So, Katie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Katie, so I'm 21 years old, as Devon said. I'm a senior at Iowa State University, majoring in graphic design, and I'm from the Chicago suburbs. So yeah, that's, I guess, a little bit about me.
All right. So, I chose you mainly because you're number one. Well, there are two hardships that you've been through. Maybe start with your eating disorder first.
So I developed my eating disorder about 2 years ago, I think the second semester of sophomore year. And it definitely didn't show up right away, like in my head is like knowing it was an eating disorder, because I wasn't really aware honestly what an eating disorder was and into diet culture. And I think I didn't realize it until one of my friends who actually also has an eating disorder told me that the way my thinking and what I was doing wasn't normal and it wasn't healthy, and I lost a lot of weight. And it started off as something called orthorexia, which is obsession over clean eating and restriction and a lot of anxiety regarding food. And then it turned into more anorexia as another year went by, and just a lot of over exercising and just this obsession over food and exercise. So I don't know how deep you want me to go
I mean,
into it, but
yeah.
is there any specifics, or do you just want me to talk?
I mean, so you said that it started like about 2 years ago. Do you think like it kind of like gradually got to where it is now? Like, obviously, like it started, but then do you think like something
Happened where it just kept going?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I think so. It was pretty rough for a while, and I didn't want to admit that it was a problem. And then also the other hardship that I'm going to bring up is my brother passed away about a year ago. And so I think that was just something that felt very out of control in my life. And so it, like, the food and the exercise was something that I could control every day. So, like, weighing every single thing and going to bed, I would, like, track all of my food and, like, plan every single, like, to the gram of, like, the food that would go into my body. And I knew that the next day I would wake up, I would have my workout, and then every single piece of food that was consumed was tracked and it was controlled. And, like, I think it's still hard to this day, like, letting go of that control, because it's like I wasn't really able to process things with my brother because everything happened really suddenly.
something out of your control, so you felt like you needed to be
I need something.
Yeah.
And it, like, gave me just a sense of purpose, I guess, in myself, because I don't know, I never really liked my body image, but it was, like, never really a big problem. And so being able to, like, be super fit and be super healthy and, like, say, like, this is me, this is who I am, like, I love working out, I love eating healthy, and, like, I don't know who I was trying to really impress, but, like, I think it's definitely shift from, like, being my source of control every day, and then it was more of this, like, mind game. Like, an eating disorder definitely is a whole other personality in your head. And so when I came back to school senior year, and the eating disorder has been pretty bad over the summer, just over exercise again, it just was this mind game of eating as little as I possibly can while still having 3 meals, but it wasn't substantial for the amount of exercise that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the year previous, like the first year of my eating disorder, I was still eating a decent amount of food, not enough for what I was doing, but as soon as I came back, like, it's an addiction. Like, that feeling of restriction and knowing that, oh, I went through a meal and I'm not full.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like a success in your head. So, yeah, it's so tricky for other people to understand, and I think that's the hardest part about wanting to recover, because nobody understands that it's like every day you wake up and it's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Food isn't just something that you can like ignore during the day. It's not like with alcoholism, you don't need alcohol in your life, and so you can completely remove that and get help in that way. Obviously easier said than done. It's not like you just take it away and it's gone. But like for food, you have to fix your relationship with it. It's not like you have to live your life and be able to eat normally. And I don't know, it's so hard to go from thinking about food literally every second with the eating disorder and controlling everything, and then trying to do recovery and like not like to just like not think about it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me now in my head that people like will wake up and not think about food every single second of the day. So I don't know if you have any like questions based on that, but
yeah. So kind of like touching on that, your daily routine with, I guess, your thought process and what goes on throughout your day.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, I guess I'll take you through a day of like what I guess it's like to have an eating disorder. And I just want to say that I'm like in recovery too, so it's a lot of like, I think it'd be a little bit different even a couple months ago, but as of right now, I wake up and the first thing on my mind, I start to get really stressed about what I should have for breakfast. It's like, what is the lowest calorie option that I can do to follow like my meal plan? Like, is this too many carbs? Like, how many calories are going to be in this meal? Like, what's a way I can have the least amount of calories but still have enough to be following recovery? And then as I'm making the food, I'm like thinking, well, should I have let's say I'll have oatmeal, and I'm supposed to have like a fruit with my oatmeal, and it's like, well, I really want a banana, but that's like too many calories, like probably too much sugar. I should just have like some berries instead, because that's less calories, it's less sugar. And as I'm like making it, and like I do a lot of like body checking, and I guess right now, even before I eat my food, now I have to do some sort of movement or exercise before, because it's like this sense of like deserving the food. So it's like, if I do yoga or whatever it is, I have to do something before I eat, because then I don't feel like I deserve the food. It's like, oh, okay, you did some exercise, like now you burned a little bit of calories, so go ahead.
Here's your reward.
Yeah, and like then I'll start to feel like more hungry. And it's like rituals in your head. It's like a routine. And like even with water, for me, I have to drink a full thing of my water before I eat anything, because I'm like, for no, like there's literally no reason. It's like ingrained in my brain that like this is like the eating disorder saying you have to do this or you can't do this. And so that's literally just breakfast. And like after I eat, I get so stressed about what I just ate, and I'm like, was that too much? Am I full? Am I not full? Like, what am I gonna have for lunch? Should I restrict? Should I not restrict? I know I shouldn't. Have to have my snack. It's like constant running thoughts of like what I'm going to be eating next. Like literally right after I finish my meal and during my meal, I'm thinking about like the next thing. Even if I'm like full, it's like, and then if I do actually feel full, I get so stressed out about it, because I was so used to restricting for so long and not feeling that fullness, like, ever. Like, I was never full. And so I'm like, if I do start to feel full after a meal, I think about what I can do to move or what I can do to exercise to, like, get that fullness feeling away. That's basically the way, like, what every meal looks like. But then it comes, like, even wearing clothes, and looking in the mirror and, like, body dysmorphia, like, every single day. Just the constant, like, oh, like, I don't have abs anymore, like, gaining weight. Like, it's, when I say it is, like, a nonstop thought, like, every single day, every single meal, it's like a battle in my head of, like, oh, I'm not enough, like, I'm not, like, eating this is just gonna make me, like, so fat. I can't have this. You can have this, but you can't. It's just, like, so exhausting. I hope that makes sense, but it's a lot of, like, what I think I deserve, I guess.
Based on exercise.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Like, I'm basing all of my worth in, like, my food, and it's like, if I wanted ice cream, it's not just like, oh, I want ice cream, like, let's go get ice cream. It's, did I eat completely clean that day? I have to think about it for the whole week. I have to earn it. I have to, like, do something to have that ice cream. It's not like, oh, yes, let's just go get ice cream. Because the eating disorder is like, why do you think that you deserve ice cream? Like, you deserve something good? Like, absolutely no way. And if you're going to have ice cream, you need to eat, like, as much as you can, because you're not going to have it for a while. It's like it's mind-blowing, like, what the thought process is. But it's like somebody's like, just eat. Like, if it was that easy, I would just eat. But, like, it's so much harder than I think people actually take it to be.
Yeah. And, like, you've had hard times, and I know that, like, we recently went on a trip, and you felt amazing, and it was, like, kind of like a good break that I felt like we both needed. But is there, like, I guess a common theme of, like, what kind of makes your eating disorder, like, sidetrack, or, like, you kind of, not, like forget about it, but, like...
I think one thing is, if I'm actually, like, nourishing my body and actually giving my body enough food and do actually feel full, or, like, have a distraction that's not, like, I can sit and really think and control it so much, it's a lot easier, I guess. Like, I don't even know how to, like, explain that. I just, when I'm doing something that makes me, like, happy or can actually distract my mind, then it's like I get away from it. But it's like, it's very rare. Like, even when we were on the trip, like, I was able to, like, let go a little bit of it, but it was still just like, what am I gonna have to eat tomorrow? Like, how can I have the least amount of snacks and, like, still kind of nourish my body in a good way? And I still was doing yoga, exercising before we went on the hikes, because I knew I was going to be eating more. And so it's just a lot of, like, negotiation. So it's like, sometimes it feels like I'm doing better, but it's, like, still a lot of negotiating with the eating disorder. It's literally like a whole other human, like, in our brain. And I think, like, our brains, there was, like, a study done, and they looked at an eating disorder brain versus somebody not, and there's, like, so many different things from, like, a normal brain, because everything just changes in the way that, like, we think, which is kind of crazy to think about. So that's why recovery for people is so hard, because you're literally trying to rewire your entire brain. So yeah. But I think, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think it's just, I think people need to understand how much, like, social media and, like, diet culture and all of this plays into, like, eating disorders now. Because I think so many people around us have an eating disorder that people don't even understand, or, like, some sort of disordered eating because of social media. Even on TikTok, I see, like, people just commenting on other people's posts of, like, what they eat. Like, there's no video of somebody just eating and people not commenting about how much you're eating, or, like,
Right.
what you're eating. Like, there's never a right answer to, like, what somebody's eating or, like, how much. And I think people are so uneducated about, like, food, and so many things are demonized about food that it's just, like, there's no winning. Like, there's no winning to being any size. There's no winning to eating any type of food. Like, food doesn't have superpowers. Like, there is no superfood. And I just think people are like, you need to eat this way. Like, and of course you need balance, and you need to eat foods that are good for your body. But I think it's just, like, every single aspect. Bread. Like, literally bread, or, like, rice, like white rice versus brown rice. Like, people are like, white rice is so bad, yet it literally digests the exact same as brown rice, but brown rice just has more fiber in it. But I just think so many people are uneducated. I could talk about this for, like, ever, but I'm not sure how much you want me to go on with that. But
well, kind of going along with that, like, you've told me before that at home, like, your family eats pretty healthy, and you grew up playing a lot, gymnastics,
just sports, yeah.
And, like, how you touched on social media, do you think that played a huge part in the creation of
Yes. Of, like, the eating disorder and everything? 100%. Sorry. I don't think sports as much. I was always, actually, maybe it did, but, like, my mom always made me make sure I was doing a sport, but that's just to stay active and everything. But I think it's, like, I hear my mom say all the time, oh, I shouldn't have this. Like, I'm so fat. Like, I need to lose weight. She literally calls herself, like, a whale. And, like, and it's just, like, my dad just started to, like, not have carbs, like, and not, like, he is an exercise, like, maniac, and so he just does all this exercise and then will eat the smallest little breakfast, and then it's, like, really hard for me to see that. And, like, as we did, like, grow up healthy, like, we weren't always like that, but, like, my brother actually had an eating disorder as well, and then seeing him get into this exercise, and, like, both of my brothers just, like, really fit and, like, being so healthy, and, like, I was like, oh, I kind of want to, like, do that. Like, they're both into it, so I feel like I need to be. And so when I started to get into it, and I just have such a OCD, like, obsessive personality, so when I have a goal in mind, I will not stop until I reach that goal. So it's like, I'm gonna get abs. I'm gonna be so healthy. Like, it just, like, didn't stop. Like, the obsession didn't stop. And so even, like, I don't think my parents even understood me starting to have the eating disorder, especially with my brother. They were just mad that he, like, wouldn't eat what they were making, and when we would go out, he wouldn't eat because he just didn't think it was healthy. And at that point in life, I was like, why won't he eat food? Like, I was like, I'll eat anything. Like, I'm not picky. Like, why would he do that? Like, he's so annoying. But now that I'm in that position, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's literally an illness. Like, it's not just something that is fixed overnight. And my parents don't get mental illness, really. And they just don't. Like, when I was deep in my eating disorder, there was one time I had a big plate of food, and there's volume eating, which is, like, low-calorie foods, but a lot of it, like, you can eat a lot of vegetables, and it's not a lot of calories. Yeah, a lot of vegetables. And my dad was just like, wow, that is so much food on your plate. Like, I could never eat that much. How could you eat that much? And I'm like, this is why I have an eating disorder. Like, just hearing that, it's like, it's really hard with all this judgment around, like, what you're eating. And I literally used to eat ice cream every single night. Like, it was my job, and I was very happy, and I was living life. I would get ice cream with friends all the time, all this stuff. And then it just, like, even seeing my parents, just, like, it's the little comments that I think build up. Even right now, when I was talking to my mom about having a bagel, like, bagels are demonized. And so when I told her that I wanted to, like, start having a bagels and trying a fear food, doing that every day, she's like, yeah, it's, like, something that you could have, like, every so often. Like, obviously you don't want to have it every day. And I'm like, why? Like, why?
Why not?
Why not? Like, what is wrong with having a bagel every single day? Like, it's carbs.
Yeah.
And carbs are energy. Like, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. So it's still, like, she's still in that mindset of, like, and I still genuinely just enjoy healthy food. There's no, like, healthy and unhealthy, but, like, I enjoy certain types of food versus other food because they make me feel better and just, like, give me more energy. But it's still just, like, my family has always kind of labeled food. That's just, like, how it is in my house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Yeah, any closing comments for the listeners?
I would just say be aware of everyone around you and, like, your comments that you're making to people. I don't think anybody should ever comment about somebody's size or about what's on their plate, because I think so many people deal with eating disorders more than we even know. But I'm glad I got to, like, talk about it, because I think it's something that has made me like who I am today. Like, I would definitely not be as, like, strong as I am without dealing with the eating disorder. And, like, I have a whole new perspective on life now that it's like I appreciate the life that I have, and that no matter what I look like, it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate, like, taking the time to do this too. This was, like, really fun to talk about. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me
Of course.
interview you. Yeah, I think that's gonna wrap things up. Yeah.